And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome here as we get set to begin our Eldora race weekend, but a little bit different from the normal Tax Slayer Truck Series, Pizza Hut X Series, Hersheys Cup Series weekends that we have had so far this year. We're getting set for a one-time only series race here in which the winner of this event will be driving the number 8 car for Michael Norman Motorsports in the upcoming Mud Summer Classic for the Hersheys Cup Series. We are getting set here for the NNSCRA Dirtcar Fall Nationals presented by All Star Performance, and we are getting ready for what's going to be a total of 5 heats, 2 LCQs, and then finally our main event. And I'm being joined here in the commentator's booth by a guy who might possibly know something a little bit about Eldora Speedway, native Ohioan, I think that's how you would say that, Mr. Kyle Matthews. How you doing, Kyle?
Doing great. Really excited about this race. I love this racetrack, obviously, and never really seen these cars with this in this type of format. So this should be fun to watch, and a lot on the line here if the people want to be in that Hersheys Cup Series race coming up here.
Absolutely. Now, we know that this track in particular can only hold 30 cars, but we have a total of, I believe it's 30 drivers that are in this field. So these drivers here today are basically going to be fighting, though, for 20 spots in the main event. You make it to the main event, you got a shot to win the race, but it all comes down to one winner, one driver getting that 40th spot at Eldora. And so these drivers here, it's like a mixed bag. We've got some drivers that have raced in the Tax Slayer Truck Series this season. We've got drivers that have raced in the Pizza Hut X Series. Then we've got some drivers that we haven't seen in a car for a while in the NNSCRA, and we've got a couple of drivers that I've never heard of before making their debut here tonight. But I think you'll agree with me, Eldora, everyone's basically on a level playing field. Nobody really has an extreme advantage when you come to a dirt track.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen it in the past. You know, some drivers just really come out of nowhere and surprise a lot of people. I mean, think back to the Hersheys Cup Series race last season. Caitlin Sang actually raced her way into the main event, was not locked in, and she went out and flat dominated that race and ended up winning it. So, you know, everybody would like to do the same here.
Absolutely right. So we're going to get set here for the first of 5 heat races. So without further ado, we'll go down trackside and get the command.
Drivers, start your engines.
And basically how this is going to go down for the heat races, 5 heat races, 6 drivers in each one of the heats. The top 3 finishers in each heat, they will automatically move on to the main event. All the other drivers in those heats that do not finish first through third, they move on to a LCQ, our first LCQ, in which in that LCQ, the top 3 there, they will move on to the main event. Then the remaining drivers will battle it out for one final LCQ. The final 2 drivers that finish 1-2 in that one will make up the 20-car field. So a lot on the line here, 10 laps in these heats, no cautions, no excuses, anything goes. Let's get ready and see what's going to happen here. As you can see, those were the 6 drivers that are in this field, and it will be Philip Parker bringing us to the green.
Boy, no cautions for this. That's going to be very interesting, to say the least.
No doubt about it. I mean, if you make a mistake at this kind of a track, it's very hard to be able to recover. I mean, these drivers, the best battle is probably going to be for that 3rd position, because that's the final transfer spot in the main event. And look at Kyle Thomas, going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone as he'll go to the lead.
Phil Parker's
oh!
We have trouble.
That's Phil Parker, and I believe that was the 24 of Kyle Langley getting together. Now what they've got to hope is that the drivers up ahead of them, maybe 3rd, 4th place, run into some issues so they can catch back up as Dougie Shears will slide to the race lead.
Man, they are driving these things deep into the corners and sliding up into each other. We saw that with the 19 and the 24, and I don't think they're done yet to keep this up.
You see this battle right here. This is Mason Wood in the 5 trying to run down James Shelley in the 72. This is for that final transfer spot in this heat. 3rd place is as good as a win, really, because you're going to get to race in the main event. 4th place, it's like you finished dead last. You got to depend on the LCQ.
Well, this has gotten a little bit easier for these guys with the 24 and the 19 already having problems. So you have 4 drivers left for 3 spots.
Exactly. So you'd think that the pressure would probably be on Mason Wood right now. Although James Shelley, you see Shelley trying to get by Kyle Thomas. Now, why would Shelley be doing this? Why wouldn't he just ride in 3rd? Because Mason Wood's going to do all he can to try and get that 3rd position.
Battle for the lead, and they get together behind them.
Oh, and now they get together up
and
front.
Now the leaders wreck.
Oh, my goodness. So Shears will take the lead. Kyle Thomas moves to 2nd, and now Shelley, I don't know. There's Mason Wood. Yeah, he said that Thomas and Wood got together back there. So now it's back between the 72 and the 5 for the transfer spot, as Kyle Thomas, after all that, is now out in front. But for how long?
Man, they're riding the wall. I don't know what's going on with these cars, if they're just that ill handling or what. I mean, yeah, the outside is where the speed is, but if you're up into the wall, you really don't get any of that speed. So, I mean,
Good point.
And look at this. It's down to 2 cars here. You would think they're safe, but...
And if these two wreck, then that could bring Shelley and Wood back into the fray. Right now, Shelley holding on to that 3rd position, and Mason Wood, he's lost quite a bit of ground. As a matter of fact, he's about to get reeled in by the 24 of Kyle Langland. We saw him spin out with Phil Parker. Somehow he is still on the lead lap, but time is running out because it's the white flag, and it looks like Dougie Shears is going to win the first heat.
Dougie Shears very experienced here. Not a big surprise to see him make it out of this first heat.
So Shears will win. Kyle Thomas will transfer in 2nd, and it will indeed be James Shelley getting that 3rd transfer spot. So that means that Mason Wood, Kyle Langland, and Phil Parker will all have to rely on, if not one, maybe both of the LCQ races to make their way into the 20-car field.
Well, I mean, we saw how much action we saw here with just 6 cars. I can't imagine what we're going to see with the full field.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the heat races are 10 laps. The first LCQ race is 30 laps, and then the second LCQ race is 20 laps, but then it's a 50-lap main event. So yeah, 20 cars, 50 laps, no caution flags in that one too. That's going to be crazy. As we get ready now for our second heat, line up on the pole for this one, Daniel Voiles, and you can see the entry list in this group. Got some notable names here. You got William Brock, Eli Bright. Got Eli Bright down in the Tax Layer Truck Series, William Brock in the Pizza Hut X Series. You gotta wonder if maybe some experience with being in series right now that are running, if that gives some of these drivers a little bit of an edge of knowing the competition.
I never bet against experience, and we saw Dougie Shears make it, win the first heat, and we all know, he has a lot of experience. I think he's a former NNSCRA champion, if I'm not mistaken. So, I always like experience in these things.
Eli Bright going to take the lead. Ooh, watch it! Ooh, nice save there by Jeff Clark in the 13.
Able to keep it together. That was impressive.
93 there of Jay Barker. Barker, a former driver in the NNSCRA. He's not racing in any current series right now. I'm trying to remember back. I think it was the Energizer Endurance Series in the number 2 car, if I remember correctly, the last start that he made. And my goodness, are they wadded up back here.
And they're pushing it here and there. Oh,
Voiles around, Eli Bright's around, so too is Jay Barker. And now the top 3 are going to scamper away.
That's literally half the field right there, and unless these guys, find a way to end up getting together, I mean, it's like these guys might be home free for the rest of the time, but 75 up in the wall.
You got Acosta in the lead, William Brock in 2nd, and Jeff Clark there in 3rd. And yeah, to your point, if these drivers kind of stay separated, they don't really battle each other, I think they might be okay, because you look the last time by, the gap was about, 3.6 seconds between Clark in 3rd and Voiles in 4th. But look at this, William Brock, he wants to lead this race.
Well, I think some of the crew chiefs or the spotters or something, they need to come over the radio and tell these guys, hey, half the field is already, wiped out here. You guys are home free if you just take it easy from here on out.
Yeah, but also, you got to think about, too, these drivers that are up here, yeah, they may transfer into the main event, but they're going to be in the main event. They're going to have to know what their car is capable of doing, too. So maybe these drivers are kind of putting themselves in a bit of a mock race situation. Okay, this guy's in front of me. Where am I a little bit better than he is? And can I apply that later on in the main event?
That is true. I didn't really think of that.
Could also be for bragging rights, too. Who knows?
Absolutely. Who doesn't want a checkered flag at Eldora Speedway? Heat race or not, a checkered flag's a checkered flag. I
mean, you and I know. You go into a race with a strategy, then you get behind that wheel, and the strategy goes out the window. You just want to go out there and win.
Absolutely.
Let's look at this. Ryan Acosta trying to get William Brock here on the last lap. This could be a very interesting finish for our second heat race. Ooh!
Oh, up into the wall. Oh, that's going to be close.
Ryan Acosta's going to get it. Nice job there. That was what we would call a clean pass here at Eldora.
I don't know how clean you get on a dirt track, but that's about as close as you get right there.
So Acosta, Brock, and Jeff Clark, they will make their way into the main event. That leaves Voiles, Jay Barker and Eli Bright to have to rely on the LCQ. Jeff Clark, this I think is his first NNSCRA start too, so big opportunity for him making his way into the main event. But that's only 2 heats. We still got another 3 heats to go, and it's just heating up.
And we talked about the experience. We saw, William Brock, Ryan Acosta, 2 experienced drivers make it out of the second heat. So maybe that is coming into play.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, you bring that up. It just put me in mind. Ryan Acosta, a former Hersheys Cup Series Daytona 500 winner back in Season 1 of that series. So yeah, definitely the experience is coming to the forefront here tonight. As we get set here, we got our underway on our 3rd heat, and that's the 14 out in front there. And that's Tony Stewart throwback in a way, Zach Winkle, and of course we know Tony Stewart. Oh, there's the 30 car going around. Patrick Smith.
The owner of this track.
Yep. There's one driver right there I was kind of interested in looking at. Oh no, there goes Ace Garcia. He gets together with Diego Yepes. And that was, I think at the time, 3rd and 4th place.
The 42 up into the wall, and
Nick Johnson, he's got Zach Winkle behind him. And I was going to say, the one driver I was going to be very interested to see how he does here tonight in this heat was the 22 of Glenn Duhit, because Glenn Duhit actually picked up his first career Pizza Hut X Series win this season, and it came at Bristol Dirt, so he obviously knows how to get it done at the dirt tracks, and I was going to be very interested to see what he does here.
Boy, the 42 and the 14, they were just leaning on each other. How they kept it together, I have no idea, but these guys are putting on a great show right now.
Absolutely are, and oh my goodness, is that... Oh no, I was going to say, I thought the 87 of Ace Garcia was on the lead lap, but he's actually a lap down. He and Patrick Smith both off the lead lap, and Glenn Dewitt almost got put in the wall. Garcia gets spun around instead.
This is just amazing. I cannot believe how aggressive some of these guys are. Even the guys that are a lap down, I mean, they're not giving any slack here.
Well, you kind of can't. I mean, like I said, this is a kind of an anything-goes situation, so I think what Ace Garcia might have been thinking about doing was maybe turning Glenn Dewitt, who's in that 3rd and final transfer spot. You take him out, you got a better chance of maybe being able to make it around before he gets the thing righted. Maybe take that 3rd position away. And Nick Johnson's coming to pit road.
Oh, wow.
That's got to be...
A flat tire?
It's got to be something like that. Something like that, or something mechanical, because these cars are able to take a beating out there. We've seen them hit each other, hit the wall. They don't come to pit road in a 10-lap dash unless there's something wrong, possibly mechanically, with that race car. That is a tough break for Nick Johnson. That just turned the lead over to Zach Winkle.
Yeah, the 42, I mean, he was sitting pretty here. He had a good distance between himself and the cutoff spot, but it's like, no, he's going to go through the LCQ.
And,
like we said, very tough break, but the 14 is going to benefit.
And not only that, but also Glenn Dewitt's going to move up to 2nd, and he was on the outside looking in about 4 laps ago, and that's Diego Yepes going to make his way into the main event there in the 99, and we saw him spin out earlier in this segment. So, boy, Nick Johnson's heartbreak is the gain of Diego Yepes, and now Nick Johnson, who had a very strong car. Now we're going to have to see if he can make his way in via one of the 2 LCQ races. So Winkle gets in, Dewitt gets in, and Yepes gets in. So Patrick Smith, Ace Garcia, and Nick Johnson will have to wait till the LCQ. And boy, these heats have flown by. We're up to heat number 4.
Absolutely. And, I mean, 10 laps, no cautions. Eldora Speedway, very fast racetrack, and I have to say, there's been some really cool-looking paint schemes in these heat races so far, and got more of them here.
Absolutely, as AJ Henderson will get us underway here in this one. This right here, I think, right at the very start of the race, this is where these drivers think would get the most aggressive, because it's the best opportunity to be able to pick up spots on track. And Michael Haas squeezing Henderson into the wall. Alexander Rowe also got up into the wall, but he saved it.
And they're keeping it together so far.
Ooh!
And as soon as they're still doing it. I thought I just jinxed them there, but
that's Alex Gray in the 84 who has a win this season at Bristol Dirt. That came in the Taxslayer Truck Series. But up front, it's Michael Haas. Well, it was. One thing about this wall here at Eldora, you slide up, you get into that wall, it's almost like it's a magnet. It sucks you in. It's very hard to get off of it.
Absolutely. I mean, these guys are pushing it to the very, as far as they can go. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, you want to be on that outside. That's the quickest way
Oh,
around
Al
the track.
Legacy! Oh my goodness! Up and over goes the 77 of Al Legacy.
Not the first time I've seen a dirt late model flip at this track. I didn't expect
Nope.
to see one in this race, but...
And that turns the lead over now to Jay Jefferson in the 44. Jefferson racing this season in the Pizza Hut X Series, and that actually, right now, we've actually got Pizza Hut X Series regulars up in the top 3 positions. You've got Alexander Rowe there in the 55, Michael Haas in the 18, all currently running in the Pizza Hut X Series, and right now, all 3 poised to transfer into the main event. The car that's on the outside looking in is the 84 of Alex Gray.
Lead change once again, 44 way up into the wall there.
Yeah, he really slammed the wall pretty hard, lost first and second. That now puts him back into the precarious position of 3rd place, as Michael Haas now out in front.
That 18 car, dirt late model, no stranger to victory lane here. I believe Kyle Busch ran that paint scheme into victory in the Prelude to the Dream 1 year.
Alexander Rowe trying to get by. Woo. That 55 was playing with the throttle. He almost ran into the back of the 18, who was kind of sucked up into the wall.
We haven't seen a whole lot of people playing with the throttle. It's just, just floor it all the way around, and we've seen what happens. We've seen what has happened the entire time.
White flag just got displayed, and now Michael Haas goes back to the race lead, and I think he might be able to hang on. I don't know if Rowe's going to be able to get a good enough run. And we basically had our top 3 established in this one very early on. It will be Michael Haas winning this heat. Alexander Rowe will transfer, as well as the 44 of Jay Jefferson. Had a battle back there side by side for 4th place, but those two, Henderson and Gray, will have to join Al Legacy in the LCQ. And boy, Al Legacy going for a wild ride here in this heat.
Yeah, I think it did a barrel roll in the front straightaway or something. That was insane.
And I think that car, I don't know if it still continued or if he's sitting on pit road. Oh no, it did continue. That car flipped upside down and he's still continuing. But now it's time to find.
Tough.
Yeah, they are. Time to find out now who will be the final 3 drivers to make it in via the heats as we get set for our 5th and final heat. Jonathan Zorlin lining up on the pole position for this one alongside of the 31 car of Joshua Sekuli. Three drivers from this will move on. 3 drivers will go to the LCQ. To at least one of the LCQ races, maybe both. And ooh, 9 car getting a little wide there of Michael Whitman. Whitman driving this season in the Tax Layer Truck Series, as is Sekuli actually. Sekuli driving the 73. Ooh, look back there. That battle for 3rd heating up between Zorlin and Shane Lake.
Some interesting names. Oh, boy.
Trying to squeeze up there in front. And that just changed the top 3. Lake to the lead. LaPlante to 2nd. Qualls to 3rd.
Austin LaPlante driving the Ken Schrader special right there, looking to the inside.
Oh,
get the lead. Nice slide job.
That was a beautiful slide job. That's how you got to make the pass. I mean, we saw before Michael Whitman trying to make the move on Sekuli. Qualls going to get turned around after a little bit of help there from Whitman. And Shane Lake got held up way back behind him too, having to wait for the 17 to get turned back around.
It's a tough break there for James Qualls. He was right there. I think he was in the transfer spot before that happened.
I think you're right, and this is a battle right now for 2nd place. Zorlin, who started out in front, fell back a bit, now back out in, going to battle to try and get back out in front. Gets to the inside of LaPlante. Ooh, careful. Man.
There's a lot of experience in this race. Austin LaPlante, James Qualls, Jonathan Zorline, Joshua Sekuli. So, I mean, there's pretty big names in this heat race.
Absolutely. And a lot of drivers with prior experience of racing a few weeks ago at Bristol Dirt. So, if they didn't have any dirt experience before, they got a little bit. Now 3 wide. Oh,
I don't recommend doing that. As LaPlante and whoever that.
That was Zorlin and LaPlante, and here comes Michael Whitman. He was way back behind these guys. Now he's got a chance to run down the 52 for the final transfer spot.
I'm telling you, nobody is safe in these races. You could have a big lead and have it evaporate just like that.
And you gotta wonder how interested, I mean, you yourself going to be taking part in the Mud Summer Classic later on this weekend. I mean, how interested are you? How interested do you think the Hershey's Cup Series drivers are in watching these events going on right now?
Well, I mean, our Hershey's Cup cars, handle a little bit differently than these, so, but, we could always study on just what's going on and everything.
And it will be Joshua Sakuli winning this heat. He will transfer into the main event along with Austin LaPlante, and Michael Whitman did get by Jonathan Zorlin, so he will transfer. That leaves Zorlin, Lake, and Qualls heading to the LCQ. Well, we got some big names that are moving on. We got some big names that are still not locked into the main event, so these LCQs could be very interesting as well.
Absolutely. How many advance out of there again?
Out of that, you got 3 that advance out of the first LCQ, which is just about to be run here, 30 laps. And then our second LCQ, the top 2 will transfer into the main event. That'll be a 20-lap event, giving us 20 total drivers to battle for 50 laps in the entire main event race, which will be 50 laps of racing. So Shane Lake and Mason Wood will get us underway here. And again, just like it was in the heats, everyone's going to be trying to battle for first, second, and third.
We have about twice as many cars in this race as we've seen in the heat races.
Exactly,
so
that's what I was just going to say.
The intensity increases, and just as soon as I say that, 2 of them get up into the wall there, with the 88 and somebody else. I couldn't tell what number that was.
I think it was Eli Bright, and yeah, I couldn't tell who the other driver was either. Might have been Mason Wood in the 5, but I'm not certain. Ooh, Qualls trying to get by Shane Lake. He'll succeed. Oh, but then he gets up into the wall. Wow, he slammed the wall pretty hard. But again, these cars, very durable. They can take that kind of punishment.
Yeah, we saw somebody do a barrel roll in one of the heat races and managed to finish the race.
Yeah, Lagacy finished 4 laps down, but he still managed to make it to the checkered flag as, woo, AJ Henderson, a little contact there with Ace Garcia. Alex Gray right behind, and oh no, oh, there goes Garcia. There goes the 21 of Henderson. That's the 3rd time the 87 has been spun out tonight. And Zorlin got held up behind that too.
And the way these guys are racing, those guys have just spun out. They're not out of this thing by any means.
No, absolutely not. You are absolutely right about that. That's the one thing about this kind of a race, especially when it's 30 laps. I mean, there's still plenty of time. Something could happen. Just keep your foot in it. Maybe you can make your way through. Looking at Kyle Langland here, battling right now with Nick Johnson, and this would be right now for the transfer spot as Shane Lake got up and into the wall. I think someone might have spun out back there, but I'm not certain. And here's the battle for the lead. Langland to the inside of Alex Gray. Oh, wait, no, this isn't for the lead. This is for second, rather. I believe the lead right now is currently Patrick Smith in the 30. Yes, it is.
Ball's going to gain a position here around the 84.
Yep, he moves up to
second
4th.
place again.
Kyle Langland to the inside of Smith. That's for the lead. He'll take it. Johnson moves to 2nd. Qualls moves to 3rd. And now Nick Johnson. Remember, we saw Nick Johnson battling really hard. I think it was back in Heat 3. And he almost basically gave up the lead. Nice save. Lost a lot of spots, but still didn't spin out.
James Qualls, the benefactor there, takes the lead in that whole deal.
And now Mason Wood moves into, I think that's the 3rd spot. Yeah, that is the 3rd spot. It's Qualls, Smith, and Wood right now, the top 3. Look at this battle.
3 wide.
Goodness.
I don't recommend going 3 wide. They made it work somehow.
Yes, they did. And now they're 3 wide again. That's Alex Gray on the inside with Nick Johnson and Mason Wood. And this right here, the battle for 3rd place. And give it to Langland. Shane Lake going to lose 3rd place. And now he's going to hook Alex Gray. Oh, he tried to save it, but now he's going to get hooked completely around. Little contact there with the 21. Oh!
Oh!
Hard hit there for the 93 of Jay Barker. And this, I think, is for 4th place. Whoa, look out.
cars everywhere. Man, this is...
Ace Garcia and Daniel Voiles. Alex Gray's on pit road. There was another car that was down the inside line. I think that might have been the 77 of Al Lagasse, but I'm not certain. And these drivers right now, midway through, battling for the 4th position. That's the problem, though. There's no caution, so these drivers that are running out there slow, you can't lift.
Absolutely. Going to make things very treacherous for these leaders.
That, indeed, I believe, was the 77 of Al Lagasse down there on the inside line, so he's run into some kind of problem. We saw the green Interstate Batteries car of Ace Garcia moments ago. And here's the battle for the lead. Patrick Smith to the inside of James Qualls. Ooh, gonna squeeze him. Oh, and Qualls goes around.
Oh, wow.
Gotta get the thing rewrited here. Oh, look out. Ooh. I think that was Voiles that just narrowly avoided him.
It's a tough break for Qualls. Goes from leading this thing to even out of the picture now.
And now Kyle Langland out in front. Nick Johnson moves to 2nd. Patrick Smith into 3rd. And the battle's going to be on, looks like, for 2nd. Well, maybe it'll be on for the lead because Nick Johnson got a great run there out of 4. So now it's Mason Wood. Mason Wood was on the outside of 2 3-wide situations a while ago. Now he's up there in 4th.
He's got some sort of lucky charm in that car to be able to survive 2 situations like that.
Got AJ Henderson up there in 5th. Qualls back to 6th. Oh my goodness! There goes Langland. Wood's involved. Look out. 24 up and over Kyle Langland. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think that was a battle for the lead. Oh, and this is the battle for the lead as well.
Oh, I'm telling you, this thing is more unpredictable than a super speedway. I mean, just what do you think? Yeah, these guys are in pretty good shape. Something happens, amongst them, and somebody can come out of nowhere and win or at least advance in this thing.
Well, the thing I don't understand, okay, we had 10-lap shootouts, we had heat races. All right, I can understand battling hard for the race lead, but this is an LCQ. If you don't make this one, you move on to the next LCQ. If you don't make it in that one, you're not in the main event. I wouldn't think they'd be battling as hard for the race lead now as they would be back in the heat races.
Yeah, that's what gets me. And there we go again, 42 up into the 30. These are first and second.
This is first and second place, and that's going to turn the lead over, I think, if he catches them, to James Qualls. Yes, it does.
Wow, that's just... I cannot believe what I'm seeing here. This is amazing.
Unbelievable. Qualls now to the lead. Eli Bright is up to 2nd. Didn't the 88 spin out for the first spin out in this LCQ?
I believe he did,
I think he did. Good grief. Talk about a comeback. Well, now he's actually lost 2nd place. Nick Johnson. Oh, and here's Shane Lake up there in the mix as well in the 33.
I think we've only had one retiree of everybody. And...
Oh my, 3 wide with the slower, well not slower, but the lap machine of Daniel Voiles. Patrick Smith now going to try and take 2nd place from Nick Johnson. Whoa, look out. Got some, oh boy. And there goes Smith around. There goes Eli Bright around. That moves, I think, Shane Lake into 2nd. But all this going on behind Qualls. Qualls right now, well, he's got traffic ahead of him there. Phil Parker and the 77 of Al Lagasse. But right now he seems to be in an okay situation.
For now, but 2 cars side by side in front of him. That's enough.
Oh, no, Qualls! Just got taken out by the 77. Oh my goodness, he was the race leader. He just got taken out by a car that was on the tail end of the lead lap.
Wow. That taken out by a lap car, that is one of the worst feelings out there.
So with the white flag being displayed, it was looking like James Qualls was going to win this, and now he doesn't look like he'll even transfer in this LCQ. It's now Shane Lake, Nick Johnson, and Eli Bright up to 3rd, the final transfer spot. And Shane Lake just won. Oh my goodness.
What a wild finish that was. Shane Lake, the benefactor there of James Qualls' late problems. Tough break for Qualls, but good break for everybody else.
Absolutely. I mean, we didn't even really talk about Eli Bright at all except for I think he was like in one of the first wrecks of this last chance qualifying heat, but he's going to get second and Nick Johnson's going to get third, so those three can rest easy. They don't have to even worry about what's taking place in the next event. They're locked into the show. But that is a tough break there for James Qualls. I mean, I'm kind of surprised Qualls went that aggressive when he had such a huge lead over second place.
I know. It seems like everybody's just being really aggressive no matter what the circumstances, which I'm really surprised at, and makes me wonder what we're going to see in the main event.
So James Qualls, you see, finishing there 4th place, and that's as good as last in this kind of LCQ. And now we're getting set for our final LCQ. This is going to determine the final 2 spots in the main event. Top 2 finishers will get into the main event, so that pretty much means that 10 drivers out of these 12 will not be even racing in the main event, with a shot of being that 40th entry in the, or not 40th, I'm sorry, the 40th entry in the Mud Summer Classic at Eldora later on this week. 20 laps in this one, so little shorter than our first LCQ race, and I mean, I've been trying to see some trend. Okay, well, that didn't take long.
Already the leaders taking each other out, and
Patrick Smith and Phil Parker there, and that just held everybody up there. That was, I believe, the 93 getting held up back there, Zorlin in the 00. And out front right now is Kyle Langland.
As we've seen in the heat races in the first LCQ, nobody is out of the scene just yet.
No, exactly. That's what I've been trying to find, like a trend. I mean, it's like, is track position a big thing here that you want to start up front? But I mean, we saw James Qualls wreck from the lead, not even transfer in the last LCQ race. So it seems like wherever you are on the track, danger's sure to find you. Alex Gray going to go to the lead now, and Daniel Voiles moving into second. You got to wonder how soon we're going to see the 17. Oh, wow, that's a slow car of Patrick Smith in the way, and they just split him 3 wide. There's Ace Garcia in the 87. I mean, we've seen him tonight more facing the wrong way than the correct way, as he's, I think, spun out at least 3 times that I remember so far this evening.
It's been a common trend for quite a few drivers out here, but they're still out here giving it all they have here trying to get into this main event.
Giving it all they've got, and maybe then some, is now A.J. Henderson to the inside, and got the slower car. Oh, James Qualls is smoking, so he must have been involved in something. So, boy, what was looking like was going to be his LCQ last time, not the LCQ he was looking for here, is it's like he and Patrick Smith are pretty much out of the hunt for this. And look at this, they were almost 3 wide for the lead.
Well, you can throw a blanket over this top, I believe, 5 cars.
Oh, Alex Gray! Yeah. Off the nose of Mason Wood.
We've seen that so many times. Cars just sliding up into each other and taking each other out, and once again, it happens.
You know, you bring up a great point, too, because it's not really like the car behind is turning low into that right rear quarter panel. It's actually the car on the inside sliding up into the left front of the car behind them. So, in all honesty, a lot of these drivers that are getting wrecked, it's more their fault than the car behind them.
Yeah, I don't know if you can put that on the spotters, or if, you know, these guys are just driving it in there with the mentality of, well, whatever happens, happens here.
I mean, it's a dirt track, so, you know, dirt tracks, usually that's where somebody tries to implicate the slide job. You try and slide up in front of that car, hopefully you clear them off the corner. And we've seen a couple of drivers execute that really well, but for the most part, it seems like a lot of drivers just don't quite get the push off the corner they need to be able to clear the front bumper of the car they're passing. Looking here at Mason Wood in the 5 car, and this is an important battle right here because this is for 3rd place. Keep in mind, only the top 2 transfer into the main event, and right now those top 2 spots are held by Ace Garcia and Daniel Voiles. So for these guys, they're trying to get up there and maybe take that 2nd spot away from Voiles. Voiles wants the lead, though.
Yeah, we're more than halfway through this thing, and, you know, the laps go by really quickly here at Eldora. We're on lap 13 of 20, so it's go time for everybody.
Absolutely, and of course, you know, even here we're seeing Voiles and Ace Garcia battling with each other, and got some traffic up here. There's the Jay Barker machine just ahead of Voiles, and there was another car that was slow on the bottom of the track, but out of harm's way. But, I mean, you know, even with them battling up here for the 1st and 2nd position, like we saw in the first LCQ race with James Qualls, nobody is safe until that checkered flag is waving.
Absolutely, and we've seen lap traffic come into play here. I think a couple of times we've seen lap cars take out the leaders. So I mean, there is not a safe spot out here on this track right now.
Matter of fact, you bring up that point, that 77 of, oh, Garcia gets hooked. And there's goes, I believe, is that the 70, no, is that the 77? That is the 77 of Al Legacy going to the point. Keep in mind, Legacy was the car that hooked James Qualls in the last LCQ race and took Qualls out of the hunt for transferring to the main event, and now he's out in front.
Yeah, and the 77 was also a car that went for a terrible tumble in one of the heat races.
Yeah, you're right.
So that's quite a recovery there for him so far.
No doubt about that. And here's this important battle for second as Legacy's got some distance and a slower car in Jay Barker between himself and this battle for second place. AJ Henderson, Daniel Voiles, and Mason Wood all in this group. And there's only a handful of laps left to go. But we can't give the win to Legacy yet because we kind of were giving the win to Qualls last LCQ, and look what happens. So it's not over yet. Oh, Voiles into the wall, and there goes Mason Wood. And this could open second place wide open as Garcia slips through for the runner-up spot.
And this is getting intense. I mean, it's been intense this entire time, but, you know, battling for that final transfer spot, that's what happens.
And coming through the final corners, Al Legacy, you mentioned he was flipping not too long ago, and he's going to transfer into the main event, winning the final LCQ. Ace Garcia in one corner goes from 5th to 2nd. He gets the final transfer spot. Man,
You kind of got to be an opportunist here, and we saw that with the 87 of Garcia. I mean, those guys were racing hard. They ended up taking each other out, and he was able to take advantage of it.
Absolutely, no doubt about that. I mean, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th all wrecked each other. They all slowed their momentum. Ace Garcia never lifted and passed all 3 of them to move into that final transfer spot. And what a turn of fortunes for Legacy here. Like you mentioned, had that wild ride on the back straightaway, and now he's going to be transferring into the main event. And so now we have the 20 drivers that will be transferring into our 50-lap main event here tonight. 10 drivers, unfortunately, now eliminated from competing for that 40th spot in the Mud Summer Classic. But, I mean, I think the most cars we have had so far on the racetrack have been like 15, 16, 17 drivers. We're about to have 20 drivers now for 50 laps of racing. And I mean, I ask this to everybody every time that we have a main event race, but I mean, I'm not exactly sure if this is even a question worth asking. Is there a strategy in this race, in this main event?
Survive.
Yeah, good answer.
If
I will
that's even
definitely go with
possible.
that. Oh, man. So it looks like Jeff Clark will start on the front row with Ryan Acosta. And then you got the 18 of Michael Haas, and I believe that's the 2 of Kyle Thomas going to be row 2. And again, like it's been all night long, no caution flags to bunch these drivers back up. So it's basically the mentality, never lift, take your opportunities, like you said. Green flag out here in our main event of the Fall Classic, and you know the interesting, or the Fall Nationals I should say, but you know the interesting thing about this too that I look at, you know, these drivers, they're not battling really for points, they're not battling for a championship, they're battling just for an opportunity to be in a ride in the Mud Summer Classic for the Hersheys Cup Series, and they're still racing, you know, like their lives depend on it.
Absolutely. I mean, the Hersheys Cup Series, you know, that's one of the biggest series out here, and you know they all want to be in that. They all want to be in this race, and you know they're willing to throw caution to the wind for it. And
Look at,
we have a new leader.
Yeah, Dougie Shears, nice move there, and of course Dougie Shears. I think I'm trying to remember which heat it was. He was the winner of one of the heats. I think it was heat number 1, if I remember correctly. So, you know, we've got a couple of drivers actually up here that I think had won their heat. I think Jeff Clark in the 13 who started on the pole. I think he had won his heat. I think Ryan Acosta won his heat, and I think Jeff Clark just got turned.
Yeah, it looks like a battle for third gone wrong, and this looked like the same thing we've seen all night. Clark trying to, you know, clear the car in front of him, and not able to do it, end up getting turned because of it.
And that's going to get the field very spread out, and I mean, this is considered a short track, and so it's not going to take these leaders very long to catch up to those drivers that lost a ton of momentum and are going to have to refire the cars, try to continue on, and there goes Dougie Shears while battling for the lead with Kyle Thomas, and he gets nailed by, I think that was Eli Bright and Jeff Clark. Eli Bright was one of the drivers that transferred in the first LCQ, and this is I think the battle for fourth, as the lead I think is turned up. Yes, it is. It is actually the 14 of Zach Winkle now out in front after all that.
I don't know how many cars got taken out, and I think I counted about 5 or so, and I think most of them will be able to continue from that, amazingly enough.
Yeah, I'm not exactly certain the total either. I think the 52 of Austin LaPlante may have gotten involved. I thought I saw his car just barely in the shot when we were focused on the car that was spun out there. Prior to that, Kyle Thomas's too. So I think maybe 4 or 5 cars involved in that one, as Glenn Dewitt out in front. And of course, we mentioned before in his heat that Glenn Dewitt has a Pizza Hut X Series win. And whoa, who in the world was that? Someone was just in front of the leaders, and that was almost an opportunity for a LePage. As I was going to say, Glenn Dewitt has a Pizza Hut X Series win this season at Bristol Dirt, so you got to think that kind of experience would come to the forefront for that driver.
Oh, experience never hurts, especially at a dirt track like Eldora.
And Zach Winkle going to get to the inside for that position. Right behind them, third place Alexander Rowe, and then my goodness! Oh my! Wow! Glenn Dewitt up on the wall, and then Zach Winkle just got clobbered by Ace Garcia.
That's the 3rd or 4th time we've seen a car take a tumble like that. Man, that is just, I can't believe that here. I mean, I've seen that happen a couple of times in person at this track, but I didn't think it would happen so many times tonight.
My goodness, and we're only about, third of the way through this race, almost a third of the way through this race, and already the amplified racing here, it can only get worse, you gotta think.
Absolutely, but you know, the later we get into a race, it seems like the intensity even picks up more. I don't know how that can happen with the way they've been racing here tonight, but we shall see.
Top 3 have now broken away. Rowe in the 55, Brock in the 3, Acosta in the 75, and now they're going to go 3 wide, splitting Al Lagasse in the 77, and there goes Brock into the wall, and he's going to spin. Got back in throttle. That was a nice save, actually. That's one thing that you certainly hope for if you get spun out here, is that your car is going to turn back the correct direction so you can mash the throttle, continue on. So he drops back maybe about 6, 7 positions, but at least he's still running, and there's still plenty of time for the drivers up ahead of him to run into trouble. Looking here at the 31 car, he's having a good run, that being Joshua Sekuli, and he's now battling with Shane Lake, who ended up winning our first LCQ, and we had a lead change.
Yeah, 75 going to the lead here. And I've noticed, looking at the screen ticker here, all the carnage we've seen so far, we've only have 9 cars on the lead lap already.
Absolutely. I mean, you're already starting to see the attrition that's happening here. I mean, we've had incident after incident at the front, in the middle of the pack, at the back. Whoa, that was, I think, the 9 car of Michael Whitman that Alexander Rowe had to maneuver just between him and the outside wall. Right now, Alexander Rowe, though, I mean, you look at it here, Alexander Rowe, Ryan Acosta, they're in good positions right now, but as we've seen, out in front isn't exactly the safest place to be, so it's not over yet, but when we start getting down to the closing stage, I think we can start ticking off drivers that aren't really going to be eligible, preferably those drivers that are right now in 9th and 10th, currently off the lead lap.
Absolutely, and now I thought
oh
boy,
crowded him.
Well, I thought I was waiting for that to happen. That's why I paused there. But
Shane Lake and Sekuli battling for, I think that was 3rd place, and that just brought Nick Johnson up into the mix. Don't forget Nick Johnson, he kind of came up into the forefront late in the first LCQ and managed to finish in the final transfer position to make it into the main event, so don't count him out. But right now, I'm noticing that the gap between Alexander Rowe and Ryan Acosta, it's opening a little. He gained about another 10th there, has opened it up to just over a full second over the 75. So maybe we're starting to see, as we get into a little bit longer of a run than these drivers are used to, because keep in mind, a lot of these drivers actually didn't even take part in the LCQ. They made it in via their heat. They're maybe now starting to figure out what their car can bring to the table and what they're going to have to need to set up for the end of this race.
Very well could, as we're halfway through this thing, or coming up on halfway through, lap 20, Lap 26 of 50.
Kyle Thomas just taking the 5th position, I believe that was, from William Brock, and this is the battle now for... well, actually, no, this isn't even a battle. I actually am incorrect. I thought Nick Johnson was on the lead lap. He is actually off the lead lap. That's Shane Lake in 3rd, and Nick Johnson is currently outside of the top 10. So my apologies. I was not looking at the ticker, and no, the 42 is not on the lead lap right at the moment. Wow, look at this. Alexander Rowe dealing with some traffic. And he did a pretty good job getting through all of that.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Got by Lagacy, and whoa, there's, oh, is that the 3? That is William Brock,
yes,
and he was running in 6th. Don't know who it was he got involved with, but, I mean, we saw Ryan Acosta losing ground to Alexander Rowe. Now as things have gotten worse, there's a wall of race cars between himself and the 55.
Yeah, over 2.5 seconds is
the
lead.
Look out.
Oh, boy.
Wait, was that 3rd and 4th? I think that was the 33 of Lake and the 31 of Sekuli, who were 3rd and 4th last time by.
Man, oh, man. I mean, everybody's just dropping like flies here. Yeah, we only have 3 cars on the lead lap now.
And 2nd place has got something wrong. Ryan Acosta is slow. And now,
this is unbelievable.
If my calculations are correct, with the 75 now having issues, I think there's only going to be 2 cars on the lead lap when they cross the line next time by. I think it's going to be Rowe and Thomas.
Yeah, the 33 and the 31 have officially retired.
My goodness. I mean, we knew it was going to be a race of attrition. I'm not, well, okay, I can't say I'm not certain we didn't think it was going to be on this level because of what we've seen so far tonight, but... I mean, I don't think I would have put money on only 2 cars currently running on the lead lap with more than 10 laps remaining.
You know, and the way things are going right now, I mean, I'm not trying to jinx anybody here, but, I mean, it really wouldn't surprise me if the 55 ran into problems and opened the door for everybody that just fallen off the lead lap.
That's what I'm looking at right now. I'm trying to see just exactly how far Alexander Rowe's got to go before he reaches a slower machine because... I mean, we've seen already slower traffic play it's a factor into lead lap cars. I'm not seeing really anybody currently in front of the 55. As a matter of fact, I think the closest driver that's actually to... Oh, we got more issues. More drivers in trouble.
18 and somebody else that there couldn't tell who that was. It was a red car.
I think it might have... Well, I'm not certain. It might have been Nick Johnson, but I'm not 100% certain. Maybe Mason Wood in the 5. But... the car that the 55 is starting to catch, believe it or not, is the 2 of Kyle Thomas, who right now is the only other car on the lead lap. So Alexander Rowe right now, with over a 13-second lead, technically almost has a lap advantage on the entire field. Oh, and we got another issue there. That is Jay Jefferson around.
That's the 3rd place car who's a lap down.
There is Kyle Thomas in 2nd place. He's about to catch the car of Jefferson that just spun out. Now let's see what the difference is. He is crossing the line now. And let's see when the leader crosses. He crosses... Well, I didn't quite see it on the ticker. I think he just not too far back. Let's see about this time by as Thomas tries working around Jefferson. Now, let's see. This time he hits the line. And the leader hits the line right now. So, less than a turn separating the leader from 2nd place.
And they're turning laps at about, I'd say about 14 seconds a lap here. So, I mean, as you can tell, it shouldn't take long here for the 55 to catch the 2 if there's no interference of any way.
I mean, we've already said it before, and it hasn't looked like these drivers have taken our advice, but I mean, Alexander Rowe, he's got almost a lap advantage. I'm looking back behind him on some of these camera views. There's hardly anybody in sight, so why not force the issue? Run a little bit slower. Preserve your race car. Don't have any traffic around you and make it to the end, because right now it's looking like it's Alexander Rowe's race to lose.
Yeah, absolutely, and as we've seen, he's getting up into the wall every lap, but it doesn't seem to be affecting him too much here.
You know, I got to ask you, I mean, it's a Hersheys Cup Series driver is going to be taking part at this event later on this week. I mean, does that kind of concern you with these drivers getting sucked up into the wall here, that kind of lack of grip?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's that is a big concern. Like I've said, here at Eldora, the outside, is the fastest way around here, but you don't want to get up too far to where you get sucked up into the wall. So, I mean, you're really on a, you have to take it easy, but you have to push it too. So there's a fine balance there. And yeah, it is concerning to see all this right now.
You could very well be scouting one of your sources of competition later on this week, as well as right now it's looking like Alexander Rowe may very well be the pilot of that number 8 Chevrolet, Exalta Chevrolet out of Michael Norman Motorsports at the Midsummer Classic of Eldora. We saw just moments ago just about a straightaway separating second place Kyle Thomas from the leader Alexander Rowe, nearly an entire full lap as, whoa, slow car there up in the wall, and he almost got involved in it, but still keeping that thing straight.
That's probably actually, I was about to say, that's probably the last thing he would want to have happen. That's not even on the list of things he would want to have happen.
No, nowhere close.
Something this late in the race here.
There's only one thing he wants to see, and that's a checkered flag waving, and he's not too far from seeing it, as he'll see the white flag this time. The 99 of Diego Yepes playing havoc, and there's Kyle Thomas just ahead. A statement by Rowe. He wants to lap the entire field. Is he gonna try and clear him? Yes, he is. Wow, Alexander Rowe will win tonight in the Fall Nationals, the dirt car race here at Eldora, and as a result, he is locked into competing in the Hersheys Cup Series Midsummer Classic later on this week at Eldora.
It's a nice job by him right there. He had that big lead, and he looked like he took our advice. He took it easy there. Once he realized that he really didn't have much competition in sight, and he earns him an Eldora Speedway checkered flag and a spot in the Hersheys Cup Series race coming up.
Absolutely, and I mean, I know we can say that a lot of things fell his way, but keep in mind, I mean, he kept the car straight, he didn't really get involved in the wreck, and what was the key you said at the start of this thing? Survive. It's exactly what he did.
Yeah, he was one of just 6 cars to survive. Yeah, 6 cars finished this race, which blows my mind, even though guys have been really aggressive tonight, but I still can't believe the attrition here.
I agree with you. Well, that's going to do it, folks, and that may give you a sample of what we can expect to see and what you may experience in the Midsummer Classic later on here at Eldora. But Kyle, thanks for joining me here tonight in the booth.
Not a problem. Always fun to call these things.
All right, well, hope you guys enjoyed tonight's race. If you did, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. Be sure to subscribe to Kyle's channel. I'll put the link to his channel in the description. And wishing you the best of luck at Eldora, Kyle. As for all the rest of you, you've been watching a production of the NNSCRA, offline racing at its best.